Amy, give us an overall impression of what this adventure was like. What was it like going to China, seeing these pandas, taking their pictures, and of course the people you met?
It was the most unimaginable exploration I've ever experienced. I mean, look, I've traveled to about 94 countries, kind of seen a lot of different things, and this was one that surprised me. I think that we all think we understand what a panda is all about, and they've almost been turned into a cartoon character. But once you spend time with them and really get into the head of a panda or try to think like a panda, it will blow your mind.
Wait,
They're
how do you do that,
magical.
first of all? How do you get into the head of a panda?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can, but you spend a lot of time. I spent 3 years working on this story, going multiple times to China, reading everything I could, and just spending days and weeks on end, just all day long, watching them, watching their behaviors, and frankly, wearing the panda costume. You definitely you put the costume on every morning, and it really gets you into either that or I could have been like a kidnapper.
And we're going to show some of those costumes later on, but let's talk
Yeah.
about some of the pictures that you took. Remarkable pictures, I should add. Let's begin with this panda in the bamboo forest. It's a female panda, Yeye. Tell us about this picture.
Yes, yay, magical. And I think, this picture, I mean, honestly, when you think of pandas, you imagine that they're really easy to photograph, and how hard could this story be, right? Well, it turns out pandas are incredibly elusive species. They've been around for 8 million years, and they only were discovered, if you can believe it, in the last 100 years. So this panda, these pandas, trying to find them, they were, as elusive as Bigfoot to us. And if you look at Chinese art, you can see pictures from 1,000 years ago, and you'll never see a picture of a panda. You'll see pictures of every other animal, bears, even pictures of bamboo, but you'll never see the panda. They're very difficult to find and photograph. The first one was only captured alive in 1936.
Wow.
Which isn't that long ago.
No,
Yeah, it's mind-blowing.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. A man lying on the ground surrounded by these lovable young pandas. Who is this man, and what in the world are they doing?
I know, right? It will melt your heart. That is the director of the Panda program, Director Zhang Hemen, also affectionately known as Papa Panda. He is the brainchild behind this whole program, not just to breed the pandas in captivity, but his bigger goal is to get them back into the wild where they belong. And so I organized this image. I wanted to illustrate him and the fact that he's saving this highly endangered species. And so the funny thing is, I was on a ladder above him, photographing him, and these are $1 million babies. I mean, they're all very valuable little animals, and he was, he's like, hurry up, be quick, because he was so worried about all of those little baby pandas. And he's just an incredible human being who's worked very hard to do more than just bring the numbers up in captivity. The next step is really creating habitat in the wild for them and places for them to roam.
Well, Papa Panda looks very much at home there. Let's move on to the next picture. You were talking about these panda suits. We have two people in panda suits holding up some kind of antenna. Tell me about that. And are you one of the people in this picture wearing the panda suit?
It was completely surreal. If you can imagine, everybody at the panda base is in these panda costumes. And I might add, they're scented with urine because pandas go by smell. The lengths we go. Yeah, but they go by smell more than sight. And the whole idea is you know, when you release them back into the wild, pandas after one generation forget how to survive in the wild. You have to train them. And so one thing is they don't want them ever to become comfortable with their human nannies. And so we're all wearing these costumes. This picture is, what happens is if they pass, they have all these tests like, do they know how to find the best bamboo? Do they run away from predators? So like they have a leopard test where they'll put a stuffed leopard out and the sound of a leopard. And if the baby panda goes up and sniffs it, it fails, it goes back to captivity. But if it succeeds and runs up a tree and runs away from the predator, then it gets to go into a bigger and bigger enclosure. And the biggest enclosure of all is the wild. Papa Panda calls it graduating from Harvard, and they now go back into the wild.
Amy, talk about this assignment. If there's one takeaway here, what is it? What is one thing you will never forget?
Well, for me, it's the bigger story. There's many things about this. The serious side of this is, you know, frankly, I think there's a lot of hope in the world. And, you know, if we only turn on the news, you would just think it's all over. And when we hear news about China, we often only hear the bad environmental stories. What I saw was unimaginable. It was so hopeful. China is doing something, it's a miracle. First, they managed to crack the code of how you breed this very elusive species in captivity. Now, not only are they releasing them into the wild, but they understand habitat is so important. So they're investing billions into creating more habitat, linking the corridors where pandas are existing in the wild, and creating a whole national park system. This is incredible, and I think we don't shine enough light on this amazing story. You know, just to sort of reframe our thinking about things and understand it's not too late. This is a magical, beautiful planet, and a lot of good is happening.
And you've certainly done your share shedding light on the life of these pandas. Incredible pictures. Amy Vitale, thank you. All of these images and more are in the Pandas Gone Wild feature in this month's National Geographic Magazine. You can see the story and more pictures at nationalgeographic.com. Amy Vitale, once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.